with Jim Krueger and Jaime Jameson, who are both working on the Human Fly versus Dracula. And so I'm going to start with you, Jim, because I watched your little promo videos that you had done for IPI Comics about your approach here. And I know they had talked about doing team ups or team against, if you will, many times for the last couple of years, building into this. So let's kind of get down to why did you choose Dracula to be the villain for a generational hero like the Human Fly?
Well, part of it was because I like this idea that there's a sense that the human fly is I will not accept death, no matter how beat up, no matter how much danger, how much calamity I've faced. I will not accept death if I can do anything and will myself back. But at the same time, there's a respect for death and an acceptance, especially if you're a generational hero of it, where Dracula is a being that looks at death and cheats it, tricks it, is kind of damned in the process, but approaches life and death in very different ways. And having a generational hero where each chapter was going to be a different version of the character made me really want to have a villain in the background that each could face in each issue, and it allowed for a continuity that was really fun and has been fun as I've been writing the issues. I also love Dracula. I consulted with Universal on Dracula. My first Halloween costume was Dracula, which my mom still is horrified that she even let me dress up as Dracula. I've been such a fan of vampires my entire life, that I like this idea of it's almost like because I grew up on the Hammer Dracula movies, and no matter, even when you got into the 70s and the later Dracula movies from Hammer, you always had the next generation of Von Helsing facing off against Dracula. It was always played by Peter Cushing, but it was like the battle was passed from one generation to another, and that seemed like a different form of immortality to play with, which I really, really liked.
Yeah, were you in on the initial decision to make him a generational hero? Because the Marvel version, which was fictional as well, I mean, obviously he was a real stuntman, but the Marvel version was not a hair, like the Phantom. He was not the fly who walks. So,
Yeah,
were you involved in that initial plotting to decide, yes, this is how we're going to approach the human fly?
I was not, and that that was up to kind of the greater minds than mine involved in this, because they're the ones who saw that there was a spirit to not giving up, that was very human. And so they were like, we want it to be like this. And I was like, okay, great. It didn't take me long when I was thinking of who's an immortal villain that they could each in each generation battle to come up with Dracula, because he's one of our few truly great villainous characters. But it was an opportunity to play in the sandbox, and I've loved the Human Fly forever. Beginning with those great Marvel comics, going way, way back. And I think there are some who might think, well, Human Fly is supposed to be like a real story, because he was a real human being, because in that era of Evil Knievel, he dressed up like a superhero. And if Evil Knievel, jumped eight, um, eight trucks, the Human Fly was the guy who's going to say, I'm going to jump 22. And
Yeah.
even if it didn't work, and it didn't work, he still willed himself back to health, which is an amazing thing, and truly a statement on the human spirit.
Yeah, and it occurred to me last night that, and I hope this isn't something you actually used, but Renfield's line in Dracula the movie is, the flies are the life, and so it's a very interesting confrontation from that perspective. And I'm sure, I know you'll come up with more immortal villains or the right way to go with this, but I do want to turn to Jamie for a little bit because you're drawing a cover and I want to talk about your connection to this book and to comics.
Into comics. I grew up reading them. And as far as I did I'm doing two covers to start. Um, it's funny, I just want to back up to the vampire, the Dracula thing. My first Halloween costume was a vampire, and I was so scared of the fake blood that I kept crying and crying, thinking it was real blood. And my godparents were just like, "It's not real. It's not real." But my connection to wanting to do this book is I'm a direct descendant of Vlad the Impaler, who they based Dracula on. Like, so, as a direct descendant, I felt like I have to do justice for my, my great whatever grandpa. So, I mean, yeah, like, and I didn't want to make him ugly. I was like, I don't want to. I don't want people to draw ugly Dracula. He's got to be handsome, dapper.
Yeah. And well, that's an interesting heritage. Now, I don't even know. Are there like, Dracula conventions that because your family you would go to and get feted as?
Oh, I don't know. I've never tried. I've never really pushed my heritage. This was when he was working on it, like he knew that I was the descendant. And then when this came about, it was like, oh, this is awesome. Let's do this. But I've never actually tried to do a convention based on that. I've been working with some artists in the past, and I just finished a big project. And so, I mean, I've been more focused on, I guess, that than anything else.
Jim, who else would you like to see or the opportunity to team the human fly with or against? That's a known
To,
property.
to team him up with or to have him fight against.
Either way, because I think this is the first of kind of a human fly. I think Chris Sakara was saying he didn't want to be team up because that's sort of the Marvel, title, but this was going to be that the human fly would meet a lot of other characters.
Yeah, well, I'm building into it this idea that the four human flies that we meet in this mini series, or maybe even the five human flies that we meet in this mini series, because I haven't written the last issue yet, um, that there are more than even those. But I'm building a narrative and kind of a infrastructure around them historically so that they had supporters at any point through history. And I'm kind of building this in such a way that there are other human fly stories through history that can be told leading to the current and even leading to the future ones. So, almost anyone in history is available and possible. Um, I love the fact that in the second issue of the Marvel series, he teamed up with Ghost Rider. So I don't know. The sky is really the limit here. Right now, I'm so focused on Dracula, but it would be amazing to have him face off against Rasputin, or
Mm.
other people who could do, or is there anything Lovecraftian that plays into this? Because I'm writing something that plays on that, and I usually as a writer just kind of listen to everything that's going on around me. And right now, I'm just full on Dracula.
But you are working on further in the Krueger verse, the Christmas short story anthology. Volume two
Yeah,
is you're wrapping up. I saw you post something about that last week. So can you talk about that a little bit?
yeah. So, volume one of Oh Haunted Night did 13 Christmas haunted Christmas stories, kind of for the whole family. Um, though, mm, maybe not. Maybe grandma, it'll be a little too hard upon. But that was the first 13, and now I'm finishing up the next 12. So the idea is it'll be ultimately an advent calendar of holiday horror for the whole family, where someone could literally read a different story every day as part of their celebration of Christmas or the holidays. And this goes back to a tradition well before Dickens, where on evenings in December, especially Christmas Eve, people in Great Britain, would read each other or tell each other haunted stories as part of their celebration of Christmas.
Yeah, it's in the Johnny Mathis song, Ghost Stories Long, Long Ago, the most wonderful time of year. Uh, yeah,
Yeah,
let's bring it back. I'm all for you leading the charge to bring back haunted Christmas stories every night.
awesome. It's gonna be really great. And if I can share one scene in the first issue that I was especially proud of. I shared it at Comic-Con, so I'm not
Okay.
giving away something else, but only those people there heard it. Um, Basically, I have this moment because the first story takes place in 1775, and the Human Fly has tracked down Dracula, and there are all kinds of reasons in the issue why he's after him and all that sort of thing. But it's the night after or the night of Paul Revere's and others' famous ride, saying that the British are coming and you know, the invading people are coming in. And just as the Human Fly is about to kill Dracula, he gets shot in the back by a kid who then says to his dad, "Hey, Dad, I got one of them redcoats." And Dracula escapes, and I was so excited by that moment.
That does sound like I can't wait to read it. So yeah,
And whether that's not the end of the Human Fly, not even necessarily the Revolutionary Times Human Fly. He just
right.
gets shot in the back, and there's more of the story that then bleeds out of that. Too much, too little.
It's just fine, just right. Thank you. Uh, so,
It,
so
it
the
can't all
Human
be
Fly
winners,
versus God versus Goldilocks is coming next. So too much, too little, just
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So,
To think about Fight Club, maybe the Human Fly versus Gandhi. I don't know.
I got to sit with that for a while. All right. So, thank you, and I'll talk to you later. Really appreciate your time this afternoon. Thank you,
Yeah, one more
JB.
thing. When people see Jamie's covers, they're going to freak because people don't know her painted work, and it is mind blowing.
I'm looking forward to it, very much so. And there's a little bit of actual, Vlad Tepes blood, sweat, and tears in that. Okay, so we'll look forward to that, people.
Indeed.
Only on the Human Fly versus Dracula. All right. Have a great rest of the day. Bye.
Awesome. Thank you so much, there. See ya.
Thanks for watching. The party's not over. It's just going to be a little bit quieter from here on out. Please hit the subscribe button and visit fanboyplanet.com for more content because you never know what's coming next. I know I don't. And remember, use your powers for good.